So when I filmed my previous video, I spoke about an app that runs on the blockchain having to do with direct democracy, and it was presented by Kellyanne Wolf, someone named Ian, and then also a DJ in Toronto, Omari Taylor. Now, when I had posted my previous video and these findings and how that relates to the Biodigital Convergence, both Jeffrey Gibson and Kellyanne Wolf went on serious damage control over that post. So, first of all, what I will say is people can just check that post if they really want to see everything that went down, but most importantly, Kellyanne Wolf mentioned the three people who are involved in building that particular application. So I'm going to be talking about them and their background in this video. And we'll start with Richie Marquez. So, founder and president of United Freedom Fund, and also he is the president and founder of United Freedom Convoy NFT, non-fungible tokens. So, each Freedom Trucker NFT is a unique one-of-one truck that pays tribute to the brave men and women that put their livelihoods on the line to fight for their rights and freedoms. Yeah, if you say so. Because, so for one thing, the truck convoy, there's a card in the Illuminati card game, and basically what happens is this particular card has somebody with a sign that says long haul. So it's not predictive programming for an event, but it's predictive programming for an idea and mentality instilled in people through their subconscious. So, with this being said, the truck convoy was not only a dress rehearsal for martial law, but also it was a way for different organizations to experiment with Web3 techniques and that sort of a thing, being that some of the funds taken from the truck convoy had to do with Bitcoin. So, there you have it. And blockchain is actually the system for digital ID. Combine that with CRISPR and you have DNA-based blockchain nodes, essentially. So this is all part of the biodigital convergence, and what gatekeepers like to do is focus on little things like Agenda 21 or digital ID or health passports and such, and make that out to be the big picture when it's really only a fraction of it. And they get you horrified and fixated on one thing. So some of the partners of this organization include Canadian Frontline Nurses, which I've called out in a previous video, and then CARES, the Canadian Adverse Event Reporting System. Now, that is led by Max Daigle, who has also gone on damage control in the comments of my videos, generally speaking, defending the United Nations from what I have seen. So, and some of the advisors we have here are Audrey Santo Domingo, who is the founder of something called Quantum 11. And then you have Kristen Nagel, who's the co-founder of Canadian Frontline Nurses. This particular guy named Ernest Sr. And then the other three, of course, you have Max Daigle of CARES, which I mentioned, Dave Steenberg, and then also Bridget Belton, who is one of the people prominent in the truck convoy. And so, fact of the matter is that, like I said, the truck convoy was not only a dress rehearsal for martial law, but also a way for people to experiment with Web3 based technology and techniques and also policies that revolve around that, being that they want to change the internet into a total Web3 piece of infrastructure. And also the one thing too that I must say is I'm not against people who attended the truck convoy. What I am against is evil exploiting good people, and that's exactly what evil needs, is good and ignorance, essentially, in order to hide and use good people and ignorant people as puppets. So this is Freedom Fund Token, which Richie Marquez is also president of. It says, pioneering a unique community-led humanitarian initiative, our groundbreaking approach harmonizes tokenomics, blockchain technology, and physical assets, if you say so. Because NFTs, non-fungible tokens, are really just pictures of said thing. They're not even tangible, real assets. So, here, like I said, you have Richie Marquez, who is the president of United Freedom Fund, and then Matthew Garrow, who's the head of design, and then the CFO, you actually have Audrey Domingo, who I had mentioned, that's part of Quantum 11, which we'll be speaking about next. So, this is Quantum 11, And interestingly enough, this particular symbol reminds me of something called the I Ching, and as well the Kabbalistic Tree of Life, being that there's an 11 right in the center. We'll get to that in a moment. So it says, in today's world of economic uncertainty, it's more important than ever to align your financial plan, your financial path with your life's purpose, With excessive money printing, high unemployment, and economic pressure on the rise, it's easy to feel like your income, purchasing power, and wealth are at risk of being eroded. However, we believe that your financial destiny is not determined by external circumstances, but by your internal alignment and the choices you make. By partnering with Quantum 11, we can help you protect and grow your wealth while staying true to our values. Together, we can co-create a financial plan that aligns with your divine purpose, supports your growth, and enables you to live a life of abundance and prosperity, if you say so. So, using things like hyperinflation and high cost of living, which are definitely things that are prominent, this is essentially almost promoting an aspect of fear into why you should invest and into Bitcoin or anything blockchain related that is proposed here through Quantum 11. And it's really just about the Web3 conversion, if you will. So this here is the I Ching. It says basically that the origin of the text is, as might be expected, obscure. In the mythological version, the culture hero Fuxi, a dragon or a snake with a human face, studied the patterns of nature in the sky and on the earth, the markings on birds, rocks, and animals, the movement of clouds, the arrangement of the stars. He discovered that everything could be reduced to 8 trigrams, each composed of 3 stacked solid or broken lines reflecting the yin and yang, the duality that drives the universe. The trigrams themselves represented respectively heaven, a lake, fire, thunder, wind, water, a mountain, and earth, as we can see by these illustrations. And from the building blocks of the cosmos, Fuxi evolved all aspects of civilization, kingship, marriage, writing, navigation, agriculture, all of which he taught to his human descendants. So essentially here with this, it says that a diagram of I Ching hexagrams were sent to Gottfried Leibniz from Joachim Bouvet, who is a French Jesuit, and basically the Arabic numerals themselves were actually added by Leibniz. So this here is a little bit about the Kabbalah. It says that the primary text of Kabbalah is, of course, the Zohar, which we do not cover in detail here. It will be on another book, no doubt. But this passage jumped out at me while I was editing this work. It confirms my intuition that there is much more in the Garden of Eden story than most see, and the tree and snake are much closer to us than we understand. Daniel respectfully misses the fruit. Embodiment connection, which fleshes out, no pun intended, the whole story, which with the snake being the veil, the sweet talking voice inside our heads that keeps us chasing desire and pleasure, in the tree, which by eating we became. His take on Adam and Eve, however, hits the mark here. They are within us, and they are our higher selves. I take that with a grain of salt. It says we are the tree, and we can see from the Kabbalah tradition as conserved by Abraham himself, the tree is derived from the seed, as all things are really complementing the 10 Sephiroth, not 11, not 9. This is oddly explicit in the text. We have 22 letters by which he seals the universe, breathes life into you, might say, through the word just as found in the Gospel of John, just as we see in the Upanishads. Sorry about the pronunciation. So yes, not 9, not 11. That is actually very specific because during the time of 9/11, actually, you have Tower 1 and Tower 2 plus Building 7, so 7 plus 2 plus 1 equals 10. So as we can see, actually, this is the 11th year, and there are 10 Sephiroth in total. The 11th year, it says Yahweh or Elohim, right? So basically, this is the spot where only God, for lack of better words, can be. And I don't measure words like Yahweh or even Allah, Jehovah, and stuff like that with, I guess, what one might call God, and that's not even a term that I use personally for creator, but I'm just using that for simplification here. The point that I'm getting at is that nobody can actually cross into that 11th dot, if you will, 11th Sephiroth, whatever. So, and the other 10 Sephiroth essentially represent stages of life. So, I was referring to the picture of Quantum 11 in its regards for the sake of making reference to the I Ching and as well to the Kabbalistic tree of life. So now here, this is basically in Nosara, Costa Rica. There's this not event in particular, but set up a retreat. That's the word I'm looking for. A retreat they call Rebirth. And so essentially this is like a sanctuary of sorts that is set by Miss Domingo there, who runs Quantum 11. And so essentially it sounds very much like it's marketed as a healing and perhaps tantric or yogic practice, and these kinds of aspects are placed there. And so we can see Kristen Nagel, who is one of the people, and as well Audrey Domingo, who I was just talking about. And so it also mentions here New Earth creators, and I've been hearing the term New Earth tossed around by people like Sasha Stone and other New Age like gurus here, but I think that that's just a term very much for desensitization to a new world order of sorts, but it's placed in a very, we'll say, Brave New World type of manner instead of 1984. And that's very much just like when people say Great Awakening instead of Great Reset. It's pretty much one and the same here. So yeah, people can do their own research from here on Quantum 11 and take a look at some of the other people and stuff like that. But anyway, moving forward, we have images 5 to 11, or 5 to 7 here I'm going to show you. So just going to zoom in. We see Dave Steenberg here, and this particular gentleman is Clayton Fast. Clayton Fast was working alongside Christopher James and Marcus Ray, and I have a video about him which I will be leaving in the description for people to see. Now, I just found this photo and thought it was worth including in the presentation, being that I have mentioned Clayton Fast in the past. So we see that Clayton and Dave Steenberg are also acquainted with Kellyanne Wolf, and then there's a photo of them. So, and then we'll eventually get to Damian Spalding, who is one of the names that Kellyanne Wolf mentioned. But first here, this was at Worldwide Rally number 7, and basically what happened at Worldwide Rally number 7 was you had Beth Ann Nodwell of Trinity Productions, who I have mentioned in prior videos, and Beth Ann Nodwell of Trinity Productions is one of the people that first made relations with Christine Anderson. And so what happens here is she kind of introduces Kelly Keli, or whatever her name is, as well as Richie Marquez. So, and then there were other people as well that I saw present in the rally in the background that I might have mentioned in prior videos. So, Beth Ann Nodwell basically is saying, get your crypto in order before the market crashes. Of course, more fear-mongering for people to invest in Web3-based nonsense. And so Kelly here, this particular Kelly anyway, this woman, she is a journalist that has in the past worked for outlets such as CBC, CNN, and Al Jazeera, and she has a global partnership with United Freedom Convoy, NFT, which Richie Marquez is president of. And she says that anyone who asks questions gets shut down. And she's interviewed people who get together on Facebook who've been injured by the if you catch my drift, and they weren't being heard, and they were getting shut down. And she says when she interviewed these people, she was told that this didn't happen and that this apparently didn't exist. And she also promotes Pat King as a political prisoner, which at the time he was supposedly in jail. And she also says that Richie Marquez has a quote-unquote wonderful project that is being put out there that can raise funds to help people who've been harmed during this particular scam psyop of sorts where people's privileges were being taken away and they were coerced to take certain genetic altering tools in order to, see movies, go to restaurants, whatever. But one thing I noticed that was normalized more than masks was actually QR codes on that side note, which a lot of people as well seem to still be using. So basically they're using those particular coercive measures that were taking place as fear-mongering for getting people to invest in a Web3 based project here. And Richie says that that project is going to 80% of all profits. 80% of all profits are going to nonprofit organizations that are aligned with their causes and their mission, and that they're trying to change the world. He also says that someone who was injured during Pfizer trials is in a wheelchair, and in order to make a special NFT where the profits actually go toward that particular individual herself. So, and he also says, we can no longer look at the past, we must look at the future, we must start the healing, we must unite. The truckers started it, and we have to continue it. So once again, promoting a psyop nonsense in order to bring people on board using hopium. And so Kelly and Richie are just really playing on the emotions of the people. And this video in particular is filmed by Bright Light News, as we can see. And Bright Light News is part of Looking Glass Media, right? Which Looking Glass Media I covered in my prior video, but we can see the Fringe Majority podcast with Jody Ledgerwood, and then of course you have Bright Light News, and this is all a What's Up Canada initiative, which is Wayne Peters, who I of course spoke about in my last video. So now to speak about Damien Spalding here. Owner at Spalding Canada, visionary at Spalding School of the Arts, and director at Spalding School of Music. And as well, so basically, as this particular individual says, he's a multi-award winning educator, producer, engineer, photographer, videographer, musician, record label owner, production director, software developer, systems architect, business consultant, strategist, entrepreneur, and coined the Spalding method of learning. So, yeah, he has a tech background, an arts background, a management background, and basically an entrepreneurial background as well. So, this is Spalding Canada, which is presently loading right now. It was first birthed in 2020 based on the need to directly fulfill a project with Walt Disney producers in California, and since then Spalding Canada has grown to fulfill the needs of local musicians in the music scene right through the video photography productions and film labels for emerging artists, excuse me. So yeah, they're just basically tied in with, we'll say, Hollyweird for lack of better words, and Walt Disney. So then this is Spalding School of the Arts, has a partnership with the Canadian Invasion, and same thing with the Spalding School of Drama. They also have a partnership with the Canadian Invasion, right? So this is Canadian Invasion. You can actually see it in the background photo of Damien's. So here it says Damien Spalding and partnering organizations have succeeded in bringing the highest talents from California, New York, Atlanta, and other reaches of the world to create an opportunity where big industry, Disney, Nickelodeon, MTV, and the like produce world-class events, episodes, and performances right here in Ontario, Canada. Interesting. Okay, so lastly, here we also have Drew Zero Illuminatus. There's not much I have been able to find besides whatever is on his Facebook profile, and as well, he just basically stupidly commented on my prior video, and as well when I had posted it on Facebook saying, "What is all this?" And all I gotta say is, if you're the Mensa member, Drew, why don't you tell us what this all is? So, this is from Barely Bruised Books, which is James Scott's bookshop. James Scott is the one who essentially introduced me to the Biodigital Convergence and some of the many rabbit holes in which I've gone down because of him. So thank you very much. His information will be pinned in the comments like I've done for prior videos. So it says here, Internet of Trust plus blockchain technology is Web3. Web3 will enforce digital ID on everyone. A token-based economy plus a social credit system will be attached. Within a few years, maybe sooner, the metaverse will be activated. All of society traveling cyberspace with our digital twins. Right. So yeah, he just covered the Web3 aspect in there. And that's exactly why I was talking about the blockchain and that sort of a thing. So, and now I'm going to be talking about other aspects of it because I've already really covered Web3 and CRISPR in prior videos. So, I'm going to be talking about 3D printers and such. So, this term, bioconvergence, essentially is the term for the industry that is described here, the intersection between biology and technology that fundamentally changes the future of global healthcare. Right. We live in a post-genomic era where data, molecular engineering, and new frameworks redefine possibilities. Researchers, engineers, and biotech firms are moving beyond the nature-inspired paradigm. The lines between biology, engineering, nanotech, and IT are becoming increasingly blurred. What we're seeing here isn't just gradual iteration, it's a revolution, a mass convergence of multiple different fields, bioconvergence. So yeah, you can see bioprinting here and single-cell omics and basically different meeting grounds here between software and engineering versus biology, right? And so 3D printers come into play in the regard of being able to bring about, say, like different organs and parts like that. So it's almost like mimicking our biology in a sense, and as well being able to print different drugs. So as well, I think as well 3D printers are prominently used in construction as well. So it says here, unlock greater insights by leveraging the power of 3D cell culture through award-winning 3D bioprinters and carefully sourced biomaterials and biolinks. So Lumen X, and you have here, it says the 3D bioprinting revolution is disrupting research across critical research areas and within the bioprinting industry. So personalized medicine, food as well, different drugs and different quote-unquote medicines. I definitely use that word very loosely. 3D bioprinting is an additive manufacturing process similar to 3D printing. It uses a digital file as a blueprint to print an object layer by layer. But unlike 3D printing, bioprinters print with cells and biomaterials, creating organ-like structures that let living cells multiply. Although bioprinting is a relatively new technology, it has huge potential to benefit industries like regenerative and personalized medicine, drug discovery, and cosmetics. Find out how 3D bioprinting works here. Okay, so then what is 3D cell bioprinting? 3D bioprinting is additive manufacturing technology that uses biomaterials or biocompatible materials to create 3D tissues and other constructs. The term is an umbrella used to describe many different bioprinting technologies capable of printing biological 3D models. And within 3D printing, 3D bioprinting, the method of additive manufacturing is an important component, allowing for the positioning of different biomaterials and cells in specific three-dimensional orientations. There are a couple of bioprinting methods that can be utilized, all designed to operate specific biomaterials, usually called biolinks, and different 3D models. We distinguish between two major types of technologies: extrusion-based 3D bioprinting and light-based 3D bioprinting. These technologies are used for many applications within the life of science and biotech fields, such as what I've basically already gone over, and so on and so forth. So here is Canada's digital charter. So this essentially goes hand in hand with UNESCO's Internet of Bodies, and I am just focusing on a Canadian aspect instead of a United Nations aspect for a second here. But it says in June 2022, the government proposed the Digital Charter Implementation Act 2022, which would modernize the framework for the protection of personal information in the private sector and introduce new rules for the development and deployment of AI. This legislation takes a number of important steps to ensure that Canadians have confidence that their privacy is respected and that AI is used responsibly while unlocking innovation that promotes a strong economy, including increasing control and transparency when Canadians' personal information is handled by companies. Alright, more like building a giant profile on you and generating ads that work for you. Giving Canadians the freedom to move their information from one organization to another in a secure manner. Ensuring that when consent is withdrawn or information is no longer necessary, Canadians can demand that their information be destroyed. Providing for the strongest fines among G7 privacy laws, with fines of up to 5% of revenue or $25 million, whichever is greater, for the most serious offenses, and ensuring companies meet the highest standards of responsibility when developing and deploying AI systems in Canada. And then these are the 10 principles of the Charter. And typically speaking, when I read these things, I just invert whatever is said or perform the law of reversal, which is exactly what these people do. Universal access, so that really means selective access. Safety and security, right? You're only safe and secure if you play by their rules, so to speak, which basically you're just bowing down your head to slave masters at that point. Control and consent, right? Transparency, portability, and interoperability. With all the data sharing that goes on, nothing is really private. Open and modern digital government. A level playing field. Data and digital for good. Strong democracy. Yeah, if you say so, considering Plato always said that democracy was the final step prior to tyranny. Free from hate and violent extremism. Well, that really depends when you really have organizations like Reuters, and which is Rockefeller funded, and the so-called fact checkers and stuff like that, which, you know, promote the woke dialogue, if you will, for lack of better words. They decide what is hateful or extremist. So again, if you're not playing by their rules, then that's why, you know, your posts and stuff like that on Facebook get censored or fact checked or whatever be it have you. And then it says strong enforcement and real accountability. What about to those that are implementing this slave charter, if you will? No, you yeah, I'm just gonna save my words there. So this over here is the Global Digital Compact background. And so basically what happens, it says here, digital technologies offer tremendous opportunities, including the potential to contribute achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. At the same time, however, they can also pose harm to societies and the environment. UN Secretary General has said that, looking to the future, two seismic shifts will shape the 21st century: the climate crisis and digital transformation. Interesting. It says, we will improve digital cooperation, if you say so, more like by trying to force and pressure people to be part of this Web3 based system in which you're implementing. And also here, is there anything else I want to read here? it says basically that the UN will compile and present your views to inform deliberations of the Global Digital Compact, which will take place in 2024 as part of the Summit of the Future. Which here, let me just, there you go, that was this particular paragraph here. So now the final link, I'm just going to show examples of what happens with the Internet of Bodies, which is what they're building. And so I'm using Rand Corporation as an example here, but it says here that George Lupe, which is the author of this article, Georgia Lupe's second visualization for Rand Art plus Data. This is not art. Focused on the Internet of Bodies, this new category of technology has the potential to fundamentally transform our relationship with ourselves, our health, and others we interact with. Lupe's goal was to educate the viewer about Internet of Bodies technologies and their potential effects, while also artistically evoking the future data ecosystems that will surround us when technologies are employed at huge scales. This piece raises similar questions about how perceptions of the human body will be transformed with and through Internet of Bodies technology, which by definition is quote-unquote smart and wirelessly connected via the Internet. Excuse me. So you have an artificial pancreas, for instance, attention monitors, which there's glasses that use brain activity and eye movements to track attention. You have body implanted sensors, brain computer interfaces, clothing with sensors on them, freestanding infusion pumps, not really too sure what this exactly is, implantable cardiac devices, ingestible digital pills, sensor-equipped hospital beds, wearable health trackers, wearable neuro devices. So the Internet of Bodies is an ecosystem of internet-connected devices that monitor the human body and collect personal biometric data. Despite its potential to offer revolutionized medical treatments, improved physical performance, convenience, and even fun, the Internet of Bodies is still an inconsistently regulated space that poses cybersecurity and other risks. Rand research explores such tensions and considers what can be done to balance the risks and rewards of these emerging technologies. So yeah, and that's Georgia Lupe. So all in all, that concludes this presentation, and people can feel free to ask what they want in the comments or reach out to me directly on Facebook. I go by Matt Unseated with no the. And also, I just want to say, like I said in my previous video, is for anybody making those digital avatars, they're basically contributing to creating a digital twin for themselves, and your real organic faces and bodies look beautiful and pleasant enough. And also, you know, I value organic life and I value what we have, and I'm all down for resisting this biodigital convergence and any sort of digital change. And I would advocate people not to use Web3 based technology and to basically stop with the Bitcoin, Ethereum, NFTs, or anything relating to the blockchain, because they're just contributing to the creation of digital ID. So also, once again, besides myself, somebody who's actually better to ask about these technologies is James Scott, whose name and contact information will be pinned in the comments. So thank you everybody for watching, and please take care of yourselves.